Hello everyone, David here. Welcome back to MixBuzz TV. In this quick video, I'm going to show you something that is a very common problem in modern production and a question that I get asked so very often. If I have a finished mix, how do I control just the vocal if I don't have access to the multi-track? So if I'm mastering a song, maybe as it happens often these days, someone sang over a 2-track and you just have the final product. So I'm gonna show you how to use a multiband mid-side compression to tame a vocal inside a finished mix. So I have one of the mixes that I was working a couple of weeks ago, which had this problem, and I mixed it. I didn't want to reopen the project, and the problem was fixable by doing this, so I'm taking the chance to show you this. This is the mix. Okay, so it's not that bad, but I feel like the vocals could be a little more tame dynamically. So for this task, I like the Ozone multiband compressor, and this is how we do it. This plugin offers us two options, both options, mid-side and split band. So it's a multiband compressor that also works in mid-side mode. So the first thing that we do is we switch it from stereo to mid-side, and we unlink the mid from the side, which is unlinked by default, but just in case it's linked, we unlink the mid and the side portion so that we only affect the mid channel in this case. And depending on how much vocals there's on the side, might be enough just to tame the mono portion of the signal, just to compress a little bit the mono portion of the signal. Now, where is the problem in something like this, in doing something like this? Is that in this range, so we go from 2K to 10K. Let's solo that band in mono. So we have the offending, so to speak, part of the vocals, that mid-range that is too pokey, but we also have a very important element, which is the snare. And we don't want that crack of the snare to go away, especially in the mid-channel, when compressing the vocals. So the solution to this is fairly easy, but if you didn't know, this is a chance to, to learn something new. So we want to compress this part from 2K to 10K. This is just an example. Find where your vocal, in your case, lives and what frequency range you want to tame out of that. Mid-side mode is the mode we want our compressor in, and we want a multiband compressor. Now, what we do is, let's stay at 2:1 ratio, and how do we avoid the compressor to react to the snare and to choke the snare? Because they live in the same portion of the signal. We just use a slow attack. Now, if we turn the threshold down, we see the compressor reacting to short, fast events like snare, like the guitars. We want more of a leveler kind of behavior from the compressor. So we set the attack slow enough so it doesn't catch the crack of the snare. You hear it already. If I put it here, these two settings are extreme, but so that you can understand and hear the difference. Passing 50 milliseconds, 40 milliseconds, the snare completely gets untouched. The compressor doesn't react to transient of the snare. And we are able to control this portion of the signal in the mid portion of the signal in this frequency range, pretty much only compressing the vocals. Let's be extreme. Let's leave it at 80 and unsolo it. We might need a slower attack still. And in this case, if we don't get distortion, obvious distortion, we can get away with a faster than we would use release. Without, and of course now we have to compensate the level of this bend because the mix now sounds a little muffled. But without it, we can go a little lower so that it really sounds muffled, and then now we can raise the gain and bring the balance of the mix back where it was, with the vocals a little more controlled. Okay, we also can gain a little more presence, which I don't mind in this case, but the vocals now is a little bit more dynamically steady than it was before. Let's just, to make sure, hear what's in the side in the same frequency range. It's mostly effects and guitars. We don't have that same range that is poking out in the mid channel. You hear? There's no vocals here on the side. But here in the mid, without, with, and I'm exaggerating, the mix didn't have such a big problem that the vocals was coming out way too much. I just used this song as an example because it could use a little bit of processing done in this way, mid-side, only the mid portion, only that frequency range, just to show you how to do it. The ratio could be lower, for example, 1.4, 1.5, and the slow attack, to summarize, avoid the compressor to react to fast events like the snare transient. The release, it can be fast as long as it doesn't create distortion or artifacts, and by raising the gain of that band, we rebalance the whole mix. Now, if by raising the gain, since the first initial transient of the snare is not getting compressed, the snare pokes out a little too much, with this specific plugin, we can use the limiter. Using the limiter just to tame that peak, it worked. Now it sounds all more cohesive without.
On the town we were so fine, you and I.
Hear how without it the vocals is like just a little too intrusive in the mix with.
On the town we were so fine, you and I. On the town we made love and cry.
Is a little more surrounded by the guitars, which are also a little bit tamed in that range, but they stay wide and present because most of the signal of the guitars is on the side, which is not getting compressed. And also the snare. The actual, this limiter actually works really well to kind of round it up a little bit and again, make the mix a tad more polished. And I'm not gonna do another before and after. You heard it enough. This is a fairly simple trick. Multiband compressor, in this case I like Ozone, that works also in mid-side mode. We narrow down the frequency range where the vocal lives. We use only the mid part and we compress only the mid part of the track, leaving the side alone if there's not a lot of vocals on the sides too. Mostly we find the vocals, the lead vocals on the mid, and that's the part that usually comes out too much, you know? And set the attack slow enough to let the first fast transient pass, keep the ratio low and the gain reduction low because, you know, this is a mastering move. So if you have a bigger problem, you should anyway reopen the mix. And keep it conservative. Watch it when you're done compressing to rebalance the whole tone of the mix by increasing the gain in the band that you're compressing. And if you need, use the limiter to tame sporadic peaks coming out from raising the gain. And this is pretty much it. I hope this was useful. I hope you liked it. If you did, please leave a like, follows on Instagram, Facebook. Remember my masterclass in Berlin, 21st of September. Tickets available, link in the info box down below. See you next time.